All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the NST game here from a distance. And we're going to go ahead and cast this from far, far away. I just got through casting that in-depth, detailed version of this game. In this version, we have no units, no idea of what's happening, except for occasional little power arcs, which won't go away, just giving you evidence of ranged attacks happening throughout the map. Can't make them go away. Tried, can't, that's okay. So let's just start over here in the New World as we usually do. A couple of big things have happened over here. The first is that Orange Pit won the Globetrotter Award. The Globetrotter Award being awarded for the first player on the map to own a territory in all 4 continents represented on this map. So we had the native territories in North America. He had territories over here in Wales and Ireland for Europe. Somehow he had a territory down here for Africa. And he had a territory way up here in the Northeast here in Asia. And I said this in the award, but I'll say it again. He saw in the chat somewhere earlier, somebody else someone else had territories on 3 continents and then Belarus or something. And I looked it up. I Googled it. And I was like, Belarus is still Eastern Europe. It wasn't Asia. Whoever that player was so close to having all 4 continents that I mentioned it. I was like, oh, I didn't expect somebody to get that close this early. Well, apparently, Orange Pit paid attention to that. He saw that and must have traded. He must have traded with Northern Russia, reached out to them. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but went ahead and won that victory. And that victory came with a territory granted to them and 5K of resources of whichever sort they wanted. So I'm not going to tell you what they asked for, but they received that 5K of resources. If you're playing in this game, you know resources are still tight. They can be very tight. So that comes in handy. So big props to Orange Pit. Meanwhile, around the same time, Bullet Hole went ahead and won the hunt for Red Norwegetober, which was my giving up on trying to find a name that somehow went with Red October. I had one of the players in this game suggest to me, do a hunt for Red October, which is great because, nobody can see my sub, so I can hide a sub on the map somewhere and then have people go find it. And so I started with, I can't zoom in really per se. I started with Batsheford over here and gave a clue that kind of would lead you there, but nobody came there. And after a couple days, there was a land unit in the water, so I went ahead and moved him over to Accurary, and sent another clue that might have led you to, I think it was something about accurate, and but nobody came. And then finally, I left the third clue was the Admiral saying he's just sort of monotonously on the radio listing all these names, and anybody who looked up the names would have known that those were Icelandic explorers. And so Bullet Hole was the only person who looked it up, I guess. Maybe other people did, I don't know. But he looked it up and realized it was Icelandic. The sub was back here, tucked away for days. And nobody found it because nobody's going through that region, and there's no reason for aircraft to be in that region. It was kind of the perfect place to hide. And as far as I could tell, only Bullet Hole did the research, found out it was Iceland, knows that this is Iceland, and sent a guy around and finally found the sub. So it was a very impressive win there. He also now is going to receive a territory from Norway, along with some other benefits. So some cool stuff happening for the North American continent over here. Now, as we move down over here, we have the group of 5. I've been calling them the group of 5. Things have been shifting around. Interesting things have been happening here. But I will say that what appears to be happening as I look at it from afar is that this group of 5 here has more or less gone to war with the Northerners. And the evidence is down here. You can see that Finland and Sweden here in that purple, in that mauve, has taken chunks out of France. France is looking a little skinny here. So Papa Smitty's looking good. Papa Smitty still has his Grecian territories. Papa Smitty has burned into over here in the former Ottoman region. That's a new development. So stuff is happening. You can expect Smitty to be strong anywhere where naval powers can come to bear. So any coastline, and you can see that's where he's sort of been strong here. But what I have noticed is that they seem to be clashing with the north. And if we move over to the southeast over here, the southeast has sort of calmed down a little bit, so to speak. I'm not seeing them at war with a lot of people. That means they're sort of backing off, being less aggressive, and we'll see if that pays off. When this war is done between the far north and the Gang of Five down here, we'll see where the far north stands. Maybe the far north will be much stronger because of that war and much better positioned to fight the southeastern coalition over here. And potentially, the southeast coalition could be taking a rest, improving morale, and getting ready for the next push. So it's anybody's guess here. In this game, again, there is no runaway winner. I've said this before, and it's getting monotonous, I know, but between the New World here, who continues to be active in this game, taking it seriously and making leaps and bounds in terms of certainly achievements, but also just producing units and being strong in this game. Then we have the Gang of Five over here, who, as far as I can tell, are as strong as ever. We do see some losses in France, so that's of concern. Then we have what we know is a behemoth here in the north. That's just a monster of a coalition up there. And then what we have over here is, again, from the very beginning, these guys have looked strong and played a good game in the southeastern coalition. So again, like I don't really know where. If I had to bet on this game, I just wouldn't do it. Anything can happen. So we'll see as we move forward what's going to go down in this game. Very curious, very interested. Still no runaway winner. I mentioned in the detailed game, I'll go ahead and mention it here, there is going to be one more newspaper challenge coming up. I have units in position to do so. But if this game continues on, I might have to come up with another one. I thought by now, I honestly thought by day 26, we're in the 4th week now. I really did think that one coalition would sort of have such a dominating position that we could sort of call it. Not that I ever want to call it and say give up, guys, or whatever. But like, it comes a point where it's like one team is so dominant that you just know. But that has not happened in this game at all. And so I might have to come up with another newspaper challenge after the one that I have planned. The newspaper I have planned is coming out in the next day or so. So be watching the newspaper, be realizing that it's not regionally specific. I do my very best to make sure the Fisher Boy was found in the mid-Atlantic, so anybody could have found the Fisher Boy. The 4-continent challenge, obviously, anyone could have won that. Absolutely anybody, because you had to have a player in all 4 continents, which means you've got your own continent like locked in. You have nearby. In fact, that one might have been, the 4-continent challenge might have been more advantageous for somebody like Hemland, who's sort of already in the region, can just reach up and grab something in Asia, already has stuff in Europe and in Arabia, and just somehow has to grab something over here. But what we did see is that the person who was paying attention, in this particular case, to the chats, won that. And then, of course, the bullet hole one, that sub was on the loose for 5 days. And I was leaving clues, and it was really the person who paid attention to the clues and tracked it down that finally got it. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this last newspaper challenge, take it seriously. Look at the clues, think about what it's saying, and do your best. It is not regionally specific. Particularly this last one, is not regionally specific. So be on the lookout for the last newspaper challenge. However, if the game goes on to day 30 and I have to, I'll come up with another one. I'll do it. I don't care. It's fun. I love it. I do have more territories to give away up here. I'm sort of cannibalizing. You can see poor Norway is almost completely gone, but I still have territories. It's funny because all 3 of the territories I still have left that I can give away are all fish territories. Like there's so many fish in Norway. It's just, we just have fish galore everywhere. Goddamn fish. All right, that's enough, guys. Thanks for checking in. It's always great when you check in with these casts. Um, be sure to spank that like button. I keep on forgetting to say that, but it really does help us. If you can just click on the like button, it gets us out there, it gets our community more visibility, get some more people involved in this community, which is ultimately what we want to happen anyway. Right? So, all right, see you guys. Adios, amigos.